Toronto Maple Leafs have a serious problem as they fall yet again, this time to the Florida Panthers in what many considered a must-win game despite a late push in the third. The Leafs fall to a Florida Panthers team that is missing three key players, including Matthew Tkachuk and Aaron Ekblad. We're going to break it down and discuss what it means going forward because they now fall further down the Atlantic Division race. And I know a lot of fans out there are very upset, to say the least, about this game. A good third period, but that was about it. The first 5 minutes were good, and then in between there, horrible. And then at the end, they played okay. But of course, the Panthers are playing back. But ladies and gentlemen, this was a rough one. Obviously, Darius, the game was Max Domi had the best game of the season. He's the best player on the ice tonight. But other than that, you needed a push from guys like Gosse and Matthews, other guys, and they just didn't give it to you. And Stolar's a bit of a shaky game, held it down a little bit there in the third, but a really unfortunate loss and one you needed to win.
Yeah, I do not like that the team is kind of coming undone here at the wrong time. All season, they've been doing things that we've never seen before, at least in this era of Leafs hockey. And unfortunately, it's coming undone at the wrong time. Max Domi waiting until March 13th to have his best game of the year is certainly a choice. But one of the most one-sided fights I've seen. That was a great fight. I have to give it to him. And a nice goal to pull them within one, but obviously couldn't get the job done. And there's a few things. This might be a bit of an overreaction. At the same time, I don't want to overreact too much because they still play the Panthers two more times this year, which is kind of crazy. I just realized that they played them twice in back-to-back weeks in April still. So they have an opportunity to play them with some more games and more practices under their belt for the new guys. But a game like this, halfway through, especially when the Panthers went up 3-1 without Matthew Tkachuk, Aaron Ekblad, and obviously Brad Marchand, I do have to ask myself sometimes, I'm quite shocked that this team is still the way it is and built the way it is this season. Like, I cannot believe that we are, like, 2 years ago, somebody should have been gone, and we're still at this point where we're going to go into the locker room now. The media is going to go in there, and they're going to be like the same old song and dance, the same old questions. Why is like somebody needs to go in there and ask Matthews and Marner, like, where were you tonight? Like, what are you doing? Right? Like, this is one of the biggest games of the year. You need to get first place. Where were you? It's baffling, shocking. If Matthews is still hurt, this is clearly something he's going to be dealing with well into the playoffs. So games like this might be a little bit of an overreaction, but we can't be talking about the new guys. They have one practice under their belt. Where are the guys that are always here and always do this in these games? That's the question I'm asking tonight because I don't understand why this team's coming undone at the wrong time.
Yeah. Scott Lawton, Brandon Carlo. I think Carlo played okay, but regardless, doesn't matter. Obviously, Chris Tanev finally coming back, replacing Philip Myers. Looked fairly good out there. I mean, he looked a little bit slow at times, but I think he was fine. He was a +1 tonight. I mean, Austin Matthews didn't look great, whiffed on a shot when they desperately needed him to score. You have Bobby McMahon. William Nylander had an okay game. Tavares obviously with the goal early, but the team isn't doing what they need to do right now. What they need to do is obviously score the puck and win hockey games, and they're not doing it. I mean, they are doing it, kind of. They did it, of course, in their last game, but they didn't do it with conviction. And this is now their third loss in 4 games, and they're falling. They're falling down the Atlantic Division. Luckily, I believe Tampa Bay at least was losing at the time at the end of the second. I'll see if they lost again, but we can't really be banking on that now. You need to focus on so the Philadelphia Flyers did win, so they beat Tampa Bay, but Tampa Bay did gain 1 point. They got it to overtime, but regardless, there's only a handful of games left, or a couple handfuls of games left, and they have to play better. Matthews is bad. A lot of players are bad tonight. I mean, they were throwing Scott Lawton on the wing as well in the third period there, so they were going to complete blender mode, which they have to, and no one's scoring. But yeah, I mean, it's true. Scott Matthews hasn't looked good lately. The team hasn't looked good lately, and it comes at a horrible time because they have to. They only have a few weeks till the playoffs.
Yeah, I totally agree with Scott here too. Matthews and Marner, we're done here. We're done here. Split them up. All three guys should be on their own lines at this point. I cannot believe we're this far into it. We're still doing this as a team. So, listen, if he's not playing well, Matthews, this is because he's hurt. Like, that's one thing, but we should probably like figure that out. It's clearly something that's not going to be resolved this year. So, not great. Also, yes, I did see that Nick Timmins and Dewar both scored for Pittsburgh tonight, which is hilarious. So good for Kyle Dubas. He wins tonight, only tonight. But yeah, I think that, the top guys got to show up when it matters most. And I thought that, Domi earned that promotion to the second line tonight. Obviously, he was thrown up there with Tavares at times. So he earned that tonight. He was moving. He was skating well. Obviously, a couple big hits and the fight and everything like that. So earn that. The defense is still, I mean, even on the PK, you got to get that puck out. Scott Lawton looks kind of lost out there at times. And again, I'm not Not judging the new guys until 5 games in. I'm going to stick to my thing there. I'm going to stick to my guns on that, but you got to get that puck out. I mean, one of the goals happens because you just got to get that puck out. And, if you do that in the playoffs, the other team's going to score. Whoever you're playing could be Tampa at this point. So it's going to be really interesting. This was a 4-point swing game. Obviously, now it's, they're in tough. They still have a game in hand, the Leafs on the Florida Panthers, but that was a 4-point swing. So they're going to have to pick up a couple wins here. And the schedule doesn't necessarily get any easier. Ottawa just won again tonight. They beat Boston. They're looking for a win on Saturday. They're a hungry team. So it does not get any easier for the Leafs going forward.
Yeah. Lions with the blender. They definitely did. Domi back with Matthews, Marner back with Tavares. It's possible to go with that. We saw Cal Yarncroke as well. I think he had a pretty good game tonight, and he's been playing really well since his
Yep.
return. Gentlemen, you're Lawton's number one hater, I think. I think you're Scott Lawton's number one hater. You did it on the last
What did
stream
Scott
as well.
Lawton do to you,
I
gentlemen's
don't
club?
think Lawton had a good game by any means. I also don't think he was the worst on the ice. I think Carlo
Yeah.
played okay, but regardless, they need to win the game. I think Connor Timmins, yeah, played well for the Panthers down there. And you look at the impact score chart that's out. It is Yarncroke at the top, Morgan Riley. He had a really good game. I mean, Austin Matthews in theory had a good game. Nylander, Tavares, Domi, Tanev. Like at least they got Tanev back. Brandon Carlo somewhere in the middle there. I don't think Carlo played that bad. Carlo and Lawton back to back is interesting. I thought Benoit played fine as well, even though he is pretty low on the impact score chart. He had an assist, a couple of irresponsible defensive plays, but Florida played a really good game, and that's the team they are. They're the better team than the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, and it's the reality of the situation. But I think the team can come back. I mean, at the end of the day, playoffs are soon. That's what's really going to matter. But you have to position yourselves as good as possible, and they haven't been able to do that. Also, hit the like button if you're in here. Let's try to get to 20 likes.
Yeah, they gotta pick it up here. Not a good time to keep falling. And Florida looks like probably the better team. Not even at this point. I mean, all season. Obviously, the Leafs were, they just have that winning pedigree and they know how to play. And they were winning like almost every puck battle tonight. So that's something like that has frustrated with me with the Leafs too, like the puck battle thing. And that's something that Berube kind of tried to instill in this group earlier this year, and that was a whole thing in training camp. But they lost a bunch tonight. They're losing positioning. Florida is great at defending, great defensive sticks, always getting in lanes, a lot of block shots tonight. So there is that, and obviously adding Seth Jones adds another layer to their defense as well. And they're getting guys back from injury. So if we do meet them in the playoffs, whether it's the first or second round at this point, because Tampa's still in the mix too, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and there's a good chance that you finish second and at least finish second, and then you play Tampa Bay Lightning or whoever it ends up being. At the end of the day, they're going to have to beat either or a lot of these teams regardless. But this was Florida without three of their some of their best players. So and their best player in Matthew Tkachuk. So I mean, losing this game was not ideal. It was pretty bad. It was this pretty horrible performance in the second period, especially. I think they played better in the third. First period, I thought they were going to win after that Max Domi fight and the John Tavares goal, but man, oh man, it is a. I'm kind of just defeated a little bit, but I think they'll be fine. I'm not going to overreact too hard. I think the team will be fine. They just are in a very big rut right now. It's really their first big rut of the season, and it's happening right at the end of it, which is probably why there's some heightened concern.
Yeah, I think so. And a lot of people in the chat are saying, I thought that was pretty funny about, it felt like a playoff game because Marner disappeared, but it's kind of true, right? Like
Yeah.
their big guys didn't score tonight. Who scored for you? John Tavares and Max Domi, right? And John Tavares makes a lot of money and you want him to score and you want him to come up big in these moments, which he did. But you need more out of the other guys. I mean, you're paying a lot of money to those guys, and they didn't create much. And I think it's the style of play too. A lot of just like I'm surprised Domi's shot went in. Like it just wasn't working all night, and then it goes in, and they score, and then it's great. But you got to create more chaos around the net. They just do not do that. That's how Florida scored a lot of their goals. That's how these teams in the playoffs score their goals, create chaos around the crease. And the Leafs just weren't doing that, and they continue to not do it in these moments. And it's not just in these moments. Like second half of this season, I feel like they've done it at times this year, and they've been playing really well, but they've been playing very uncharacteristic the last like month or so. So I guess about a month at this point, but not great. And they got to clean up a lot. And I know there's new guys, but there's only two new guys, right? I think Carlos looked good. Morgan Riley still looks a little lost out there at times, so he's got to figure that out. But not looking good right now. I'm still going to stay optimistic, of course, because they can turn it around and win 4 games. We know this team, but they have to fix some of it's the type, it's the style that they play. They must change this to win in the playoffs. Ovechkin did it, right? He went through that whole thing. A lot of people were questioning him as a player. He had to go through it. He changed the way he played in the playoffs, and they finally won a Stanley Cup. So haven't seen that turn yet. It could happen at any point. It's just a shift, right? It's just a shift. It happens, but I haven't seen that at this point from this group. So we'll see. Again, it was close, maybe a bit of an overreaction, but I see this a lot in these big moments, in these big games against these teams that you need to beat, and they're at the top of the conference or the division, what have you.
Yep. Steelers needs to make a save. Steelers for injury. I don't know way. I I don't know. I don't think
I mean,
either of
that's
those
crazy.
two power
That's a
play
little.
goals, blown assignment there. I mean, at the end of the day, it's I don't think he saves that with an injury. It's just bad, really bad defense.
Yeah.
And again, two penalties, a lot of penalties being taken. That's I think what ultimately comes down to rather than uh, Stolar's necessarily. I don't think Wall saves it either, to be fair. But someone asked if I think it was Scott, how would you arrange the top nine if Matthews and Marner are split up? It's an interesting question. Uh,
Yep.
Marner second line, obviously, and then I guess Max Domi maybe throw him back with on the first line could work.
I'd maybe put. So I don't like the way that Nylander and Matthews play together either because they demand the puck a lot. So I think I put Nyes, Matthews, Domi because I feel like that could work and it could be similar to Bertuzzi on that line. And then I would put probably McMahon
Yeah,
on the second line. I would put John Tavares in the middle, of course,
and
and then
Mitch
on his
Marner,
right
right?
wing, probably no. I think I would actually go William Nylander. I would keep the same in that way. I do like that line, or maybe Pacioretty, but that's like a playoff thing because I don't think he's coming back until the playoffs. But and then your third line, obviously Scott Lawn's going to be down the middle. You probably put Mitch Marner on the wing. His minutes are going to be spread anyway because he's going to play a lot of time on the PK. On that left wing, I mean, Holmberg looked okay on the fourth line. Maybe you experiment him with their Max Domi, probably Max Domi actually. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's going to get a little crazy towards the playoffs, and I think the blender is going to come out more and more. I said it a couple streams ago and in the videos, like the blender is going to continue to come out for sure.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're practicing tomorrow. So if they do, because they play on Saturday,
Yeah,
I'm expecting some big changes tomorrow. Hopefully in the lineup there. But I say that, and I don't know if we're actually going to get them because that is the big question mark. We can move on probably to our 3 stars of the night here because I mean it's a I don't know. I know who I'm going to give my 3 stars to. I think there were some interesting games all around, but it was a pretty disappointing game. I'll let you start with your third, however.
I'm going to go third star. Simone Benoit. I thought he had another solid game. I thought he was getting in lanes to a degree. Obviously, I don't think anyone played necessarily like elite tonight or anything
Yeah.
like that, but definitely Simone Benoit. Thought he played well and he followed up a pretty good game on Monday.
I'll go Cali Croak. Looked good. He looked good out there, and he has looked really good since coming back. Quite the impressive showing from him.
Yep, no, I think that is fair for sure. And I think my second star, I'm actually gonna go a little bit off the board maybe for this game. Stolars. I thought he made some pretty big saves still. It could have actually been a lot worse. And yes, he hasn't looked quite as good as he did earlier this season, but I feel like he's going to figure it out. And a lot of it has to do with the defense too. So I'm going to give him my second star because I thought he made still a few big saves.
I'm gonna go with John Tavares as my second star. Obviously with the goal and a good game. He's been kind of consistent even when the core four. The other, I guess, the other core three. The other three have been playing bad. I think Tavares playing good all year, so I'll give him the second star.
Yeah, Max Domi is my first star. Big fight. His dad was in the crowd. Big goal for them too to get them within one, and he absolutely filled Nate Schmidt in. Like
Yep.
that was a great fight. So he had no balance the whole time. So my first star.
Same with me. First star is Max Domi. Gentlemen's Club saying Robertson will be in, Holmberg is out. I'm hoping it's more dramatic than that, though. You would have to assume that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think that Robertson is going to come in. You have to keep Cali Yarncroke in there. Hoping they split up the first line. Probably won't happen. Um, the defense looked a lot better tonight. I even think Morgan Riley looked better than he has lately. Impact score chart has him at number 2. But again, at the same time, you're going up against a very interesting. I think Benoit had a pretty good game, but a very interesting, like third. They all have been playing interesting lately.
yeah. I mean, nobody's been playing necessarily well. So. Um, Yeah, and again, Mitch Marner didn't have a great game on Monday. It wasn't really noticeable tonight. Don't mean to dump on him like Nylander, same thing, right? Like it's the exact same thing for Nylander, even Matthews. Although Matthews, the last couple game, like tonight, I didn't notice him as much in terms of puck battles. The last two games, I was like, okay, this guy's an absolute beast on the wall. It just isn't going in for him. But this one, I was like, I just don't think you're making your own luck for you. So they got to start doing that. And again, the defense, Chris Tanev. He looked okay tonight, but if he's
Yep.
not, I don't know why he played if he wasn't 100%. Like a game time decision scares me. So that's like playoff stuff. Like you don't need him right now, I feel like.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's these are going to be grinding games. If they lose like they have been, it is very unfortunate. I think the team's going to be okay though. I think ultimately, at some point here soon, they're going to bounce back. And I mean, every time this season they've started to lose, they bounced it back with a win. But also, before we do wrap up, we do have a we're going to announce a little thing here. If you've been here before, we had it in a couple of our videos, but everyone who's in here, it would be very helpful if you could do this. I'm going to play a little read here. If you're into basketball, even if you aren't into basketball, you just want to help us out, I'm going to put a link in the chat. If you can click that and sign up and use code DIGEST with all caps, it would mean a lot, but you can also win a lot of money. So I'm going to go ahead and play this here. And if you want to help support us and, of course, have a chance to win, so it's completely free, everything like that, it would mean the world to us. I'm going to play it really quick. So I don't know if the audio is working on this necessarily, but either way. So essentially, guys, this is a hot takes app. I'm going to read it out manually. We're going here. But essentially, it's a March Madness bracket. If you can click the link in the on the chat right now. Essentially, we are kicking off March Madness bracket for the channel. We partnered with the Hot Takes app and other Digest channels for this event. It is completely free to sign up. Just download the Hot Takes app. And as you can see on your screen here, click the banner, go to groups, and hit the Digest media pool. It would help us out a lot. It is, of course, it would help us. So if you can click that, go down and use the code DIGEST. It would, everyone in here, chance to win some money. Any thoughts on that, Darius?
Yeah, I'm into March Madness as well. I mean, it's always fun to play those brackets. I do those brackets every year. It's like the NHL brackets. Like everybody kind of gets in on that. So March Madness should be fun. If you want to help support the channel, definitely sign up. It's free. I want to stress this, that it's free to sign up. So all you need is your email. Use the referral code DIGEST. It is cap sensitive. So, make sure it is in capitals. But yeah, if you want to support the channel, we'd really appreciate this. And it's a really cool opportunity and partnership with this, with Hot Takes.
Yep. Get to make some picks from March Madness, win some money. It's completely free. And
I'm picking Duke, just putting it out there. Cooper Flag.
And if you don't know basketball, just sign up and throw some random teams there, because the people who often win these have no idea about the what teams are going for, and they just do some guessing. So I'll put in the chat a little bit. If you're on phone, you can just click it. If not, go ahead and click the Hot Takes app. But ladies and gentlemen, bad loss. But at the end of the day, we're going to be back for every other game. It's going to be an interesting stretch. And again, in case you missed the game, the Leafs lost 3-2, an unfortunate one. And, of course, Max Domi and John Tavares with the goals. But that'll wrap it up. We'll leave you with the outro as usual. And, again, click that link in the chat if you want to support us. And we'll see you guys in a video tomorrow.
Leafs Digest, your daily dose of gold. Stories of the bold where legends untold. From first puck drop to the season's fall. Tune in and watch the drama unfold.